consideration of Senate Bill 2488 under Committee Report number 92 is hereby suspended.
With the consent of the Senate, I move that we resume consideration of House Bill number 3917 under Committee Report number 72.
Any objection? Hearing none. Resumption of consideration of House Bill 3917 under Committee Report number 72 is in order.
This is the bill increasing the number of the members of the Sangguniang Panlungsod of the City of Biñan. And Mr. President, the sponsor, Senator Marcos, had delivered his sponsorship speech on this measure last December 10, 2014. I move that we recognize again the sponsor, Mr. President. So to interpolate, Mr. President, I move that we recognize the acting minority leader, Senator Soto.
On the period of interpellation and debate, Senator Vicente Soto is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. Will the distinguished gentleman from Ilocos Norte yield to some questions to remove my confusion?
Certainly, Mr. President, for the gentleman from Quezon City.
Thank you.
Will the good sponsor speak to the microphone?
I would certainly yield the floor to the gentleman from Quezon City.
Thank you, Mr. President. I overheard the majority leader, the acting majority leader, read a different title from what I received under Committee Report number 72. May I be enlightened on this matter first, Mr. President, before I go into the details?
Well, Mr. President, let me to be very clear, because I think what was read by the majority floor leader was the essence of the rather long title. And so, to clarify, I would like to read the title of House Bill number 3917, the title of which is an act increasing the number of members of the Sangguniang Panlungsod of the City of Biñan from 10 to 12 and separating it from the first legislative district of the province of Laguna to constitute the lone legislative district of the City of Biñan, amending for the purpose sections 10 and 61 respectively of Republic Act number 9740, otherwise known as the Charter of the City of Biñan. I hope that clarifies the intent of the House bill as it was transmitted to the Senate.
All right. As I said, I am a little confused, Mr. President. I thought originally the intention of the bill was to add additional members to the Sangguniang Panlungsod from 10 to 12. So presently, was that the original intention of the measure, or the measure was already included the creation of a lone district, legislative district in the city, to be known as the district of Biñan?
That is right. That's certainly the case, Mr. President. The confusion arises. Actually, it should possibly we can amend this to be clearer, because the intention is to create the new legislative district of the City of Biñan, and to adjust to that new status, the Sangguniang Panlungsod of the city would be increased from 10 to 12. So that is more an effect of the redistricting. As a matter of fact, maybe to jump ahead a little bit, Mr. President, one of the committee amendments is to change the title of the bill and change it to read as follows: an act separating the City of Biñan from the first legislative district of the province of Laguna to constitute the lone legislative district of the City of Biñan, precisely to make sure that there is no confusion as to what the intent of the bill is.
All right, that somehow relieves me of part of the confusion. You know, Mr. President, I used to be chairman of the Committee on Local Government for 6 years, from 1992 to 1998. And one of the measures that I sponsored was the additional members of the Sangguniang for the city of Calbayog. That was it. So reading the original title, wherein you will add additional members, and then a second intention, which is to create the legislative district, raised an eyebrow. But as the gentleman is putting it, I'd rather address this measure as the creation of a legislative district of Binyan.
Yes, Mr. President, that's precisely.
The additional members of the Sangguniang should be a second, another topic, Mr. President. If that is the case, lest we be charged with gerrymandering, which was charged this August body before, during the time of the sponsorship of the cityhood of Makati. I think it is best that the original intention be done. Let us just create the legislative district of Binyan. We concentrate on that, Mr. President.
Yes, I think I concur with the acting minority leader. In fact, also the sponsor, as he's already mentioned, has proposed committee amendments, which in effect will just limit the bill to the creation of a congressional district. Because having the second matter, which is the increase in the number of Sangguniang members, could really suffer from an infirmity in the sense that there will be two subjects embraced in the same title. So I think the sponsor saw that defect and has in fact proposed committee amendments which will remove that infirmity, and as correctly pointed out by Senator Soto, that should now we should now be able to defend the constitutionality of this measure.
Thank you, Mr. President. The confusion, I think, arises from the fact that that was the original title of House Bill number 3917 as transmitted to the Senate. And so that was the bill that was heard in the in committee, and the Committee of Local Governments, and that is why we found the same. We identified the same problem, and that is why one of the proposed committee amendments is to change the title of the bill and speak only in the title of the new legislative district.
But do you intend to change the number of members of the Sangguniang Panglungsod in the same measure inside the bill, from 10 to 12?
Yeah.
I ask this, Mr. President, and I hope I will hear an answer that will remove my fear or apprehension, Mr. President, because once you add an additional seat in the Sangguniang Panglungsod, you are amending another law, the Charter of City of Binyan. Then we fall into the category of gerrymandering, Mr. President.
Well, Mr. President, that is this increase in the members of the Sangguniang is found under Republic Act number 6336, and to read the section 3. The provision of any law to the contrary, notwithstanding the city of Cebu, city of Davao, and any other city with more than one representative district shall have 8 councillors for each district, who shall be residents thereof to be elected by qualified voters therein, provided that the cities of Cagayan de Oro, Zamboanga, Bacolod, Iloilo, and other cities comprising a representative district shall have 12 councillors each. So, in compliance with that, we are adjusting the membership of the Sangguniang, because that will be a natural consequence of the new district being created.
That is the effect, Mr. President. I agree. But look at the charter of the city of Binyan. What does it say?
I think I'm sorry to answer the question of the gentleman more directly. Within the version that that I sponsored, we are silent when we talk. We no longer spoke about the increase in the membership of the Sangguniang.
That's the impression of the chair.
All right.
That's the impression of the chair. The bill, after the committee amendments are introduced, will no longer contain the increase in the membership of the Sangguniang Panglungsod.
In that case, I have no problem with that then, Mr. President.
If
That
you
is
read the committee amendments, that's in effect what will happen. The body of the bill will be amended so that any referral to the increase in the membership of the Sangguniang Panglungsod will be deleted from the bill. The title will be so amended so that the bill will now deal only with the creation of a lone congressional district. Is that correct, Mr.
That is
Sponsor?
right, Mr. That is precisely correct, Mr. President. I think we can consider that the reorganization of the Sangguniang of the city will automatically become 12 because of the section that I just read of Republic Act 6636.
Yes, perhaps that will be the
Effect.
effect, and the city of Binyan. Let the city of Binyan worry about that, Mr. President. Let us concentrate on the measure and the intent of the measure, Mr. President.
We fully
I do agree. If that is for the record, then I have no problem with that.
We fully agree with the observations of the gentleman.
All right.
And that is why we have, in the proposed amendments that will be, those points will have been taken into account. The subject will solely be about the creation of the lone district, and there is no mention within the final version of the reorganization of the Sangguniang Panlungsod.
All right. Thank you very much. Now, let me go to another topic. May I know the current composition of the legislative district of Laguna? What is this? This is the... Binyan is included in the first legislative district. Is that right, Mr. President?
That is presently the first district include Binyan City, the city
Okay.
of Santa Rosa, San
Binyan.
Pedro City, and that is those
Santa
are the
Rosa and San Pedro.
yes, all in fact all of those cities in fact have larger than 250,000.
So what is the
in terms of
population of Binyan, Mr. President?
Binyan City, Mr. President, is according to the last statistics that we have, the latest statistics that we have, Binyan City's population is 283,396. That is as of 2010. As
That is
approved by
the
President.
population itself. No? Now, would you have the land area of Binyan and the income, Mr. President?
I have the income. As I am sure the gentleman knows, the single qualification required is the population for the
District,
creation
yes.
of. But nevertheless, it is
Just for the record, Mr.
it is an
President.
important question. The city of Binyan has reported a total income for the following fiscal years. 2012, their income was 1,022,621,811.05 centavos. In 2013, the reported income was 1,140,981,734 pesos, Mr. President.
All right. Well, I was asking about the land area because if my, I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, if my geography serves me right, Binyan is in the middle of Santa Rosa and San Pedro. Is this correct, Mr.
That is
President?
right, Mr. President. That is right, and that is why this point came up. The experience of the gentleman in local government is showing. This came up, but if we look closely at the law that allows us to create new legislative districts, it says that they must be contiguous. That the towns within a district must be contiguous
Yes.
as practicable, I think is as far as practicable is the language there. So considering that we cannot really deny Binyan City is qualified for their legislative district, then we will just have to handle it that way. We handle, shall we say, separated towns, like towns that are islands. And perhaps the way to handle this situation would be similar to that.
My worry, Mr. President, is that we will be dismembering the first district, and it's smack in the middle. So what happens to Santa Rosa and San Pedro? They are not contiguous, but they are the first district.
They are in the same district. I anticipate that one or more of these two, one or both of these cities will eventually also be coming to Congress to create their own legislative districts, because both of them are also qualified.
How many districts are there now in Laguna, Mr. President? Laguna.
Laguna presently has 4 legislative districts.
4 legislative districts. And the entire population of Laguna, would you have it, Mr. President? I ask, Mr. President, because the Quezon City, we passed in the last Congress the creation of 2 additional districts. Ang ginawa natin, instead of, and what I'm thinking is that, have they not considered, the sponsors of this measure in the House, have they not considered just redistricting Laguna into 6 districts? Pretty much like Cavite that became 7, instead of, getting one city and making it a district.
Well,
and they can make it contiguous, Mr. President.
I think what happened here is that essentially it was just directed at Binyan. The House bill, as it was transmitted to us, only concerned itself with Binyan and not a redistricting of the entire province. Unlike as we have done in Quezon City, as also we have done in Cavite. Although, so it is directly related only to Binyan. So we did not, they did not look into the possibility of redistricting the entire province, because that, of course, would take a great deal more time, and it'd be much more complicated than the proposal we have before us.
What was the position of the sponsors in the House on what happens to Santa Rosa and San Pedro, to separate municipalities or cities that are apart from each other but are members of or are incorporated or compose one legislative district? What did they say, and what did the local officials of the provinces or the cities say?
Oh, well, we have certainly been in consultation with all of those that were affected. The congressmen of the first district, the mayors of both towns that are beside Binyan, and none of them have interposed any objection. And furthermore, Mr. President, what has happened here is that Binyan has invoked the constitutional provision, Article 6, which is entitled Legislative Department, under Section 5, Paragraph 3, which reads, each legislative district shall comprise, as far as practicable, contiguous, compact, and adjacent territory. Each city, this is the most important part, each city with a population of at least 250,000, or each province shall have at least 1 representative. Therefore, by rights, they invoked this provision, and that is what we have been. That is the provision that we are applying to the proposal to create this new district.
Just for the clarity of the chair, is the thrust of the interpellation of the minority leader saying that with the creation of Binyan, the existing district consisting now only of Santa Rosa and San Pedro will no longer be contiguous? Is that the thrust?
Yes, Mr. President, that is my worry. Now, the distinguished gentleman from Ilocos Norte was mentioning the operative phrase of as far as practicable as being the reason for them to be able to do that. And I do not have really any violent objections to this, but it leaves confusion as far as I'm concerned. And of course, this is only my opinion. Just to complete my records, Mr. President, if you don't mind, the distinguished sponsor, what is the population of Santa Rosa? And what is the population of San Pedro?
The population of San Pedro is 294,310. The population of the city of Santa Rosa is 284,670.
Mr. President, it's larger than Binyan.
Well,
They're
they are
both larger
they are
than
both
Binyan,
larger
and
than
we're
Binyan.
going to make a legislative district out of the smallest city in the first legislative district.
Be that as it may, they are qualified because under the Constitution, the population of 250,000 is the sole.
Yes, I know.
And again, we will. I don't think that we should be surprised if in the near future we will see San Pedro and Santa
And
Rosa
yes,
at least thinking about also creating a new district.
Who's the congressman of the first district of Laguna, Mr. President?
The present representative is here. Congressman Dan Fernandez is the
Congressman Fernandez.
Yes, he's been one of the main proponents of this bill that we have before us now.
May we know where Congressman Fernandez resides, Mr. President? In Santa Rosa, Banyan, or Laguna? Or
Congressman Dan is from Santa Rosa.
Santa Rosa. All right. Well, I don't know if it's proper, but I am wondering why the gentleman did not file a the legislative district creating Santa Rosa.
Well,
It's more
again,
qualified than Binyan, Mr. President, as far as...
not more qualified.
not
Mr.
more qualified.
Equally
I
qualified.
stand corrected. Yes, equally qualified, but with a larger population.
Mr. President, I was unable to answer the question of the gentleman earlier about the total population of Laguna. And the number that I have been given is 2,669,849. Again, as of 2010.
2,669,000. Will the mathematicians in the hall answer me? Divided by 6 would be how much? 2,669,000 divided by 6.
448,000. Let me continue my calculation. 18, that's 6,
Yeah,
40, 49,
240.
448,607.
440?
8,000.
48,000?
607.
I wonder why the congressman from Laguna did not file a redistricting of Laguna instead.
669,000, 68,000.
They could even qualify for 8 districts, Mr. President, instead of dismembering a legislative district. Nevertheless, I wanted those details in the spread into the records, Mr. President. I wish to thank the gentleman. I hope he would favor us with some more inputs on this. I know we would like to research on the matter, if you don't mind. The acting majority leader, I think, would like to continue with the interpellation, Mr. President. So I thank you for answering my questions, and at least I was able to put into the record my worry, and part of my confusion has been removed, Mr. President.
It is actually, Mr. President, a similar situation to what we have in many other provinces. Pangasinan, for example, is qualified for many more than the number of districts that it has. Quezon City is actually qualified for 10 legislative districts, but for whatever reasons, the local government officials have decided to propose in the way that they did. So, again, it really is up to the local governments to invoke their right as provided for in the Constitution as cities with a greater with a greater population, 250,000. They are invoking that right to create a further legislative district.
Again, thank you, Mr. President. Oh, by the way, one final question. Will this undergo a plebiscite?
There is no need for a plebiscite for the creation of a lone district. It is merely The only qualification required, the only requirement is that population exceeds 250,000.
All right. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you.
Again, for the record, with the creation of City of Binyan as a separate district, will there be common borders between Santa Rosa and San Pedro?
Yes.
Will there be towns that will be on the border of each? In other words, what the chair would like to inquire is, the term contiguous, as far as practicable, could still be complied with or satisfied if there are common borders of Santa Rosa and San Pedro. Are we saying that they're completely cut off from each other?
Binyan City sits smack in the middle of San Pedro and Santa Rosa, in the middle of the first
So
district.
hindi po kayo pwedeng pumunta mula sa San Pedro papuntang Santa Rosa kung hindi dadaan sa Binyan.
Tatawid po kayo sa distrito ng Binyan, Mr. President.
Hindi po pwedeng walang common border, in other words.
There is no, Mr. President. Binyan is right in the middle between Santa Rosa City and San Pedro City.
Okay, just for the record. Yes, the Majority Leader?
Mr. President, I wanted to interpolate, but most of my questions have already been asked by the acting minority leader, and I've been informed that Senator Osmeña, who made the reservation for interpellation, will, instead of interpellating, will propose specific amendments.
Very good.
I think the acting minority leader is requesting for time to further study the measure. So, in that case, I move that we suspend.
1 minute
I mean,
suspension.
suspension for additional interpellation or manifestation. Mr. President, Senator Honasan wants to be recognized.
Senator Honasan is recognizing the period of debates.
This is not actually a question, Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. President. To the distinguished sponsor, would you tolerate additional comments?
Not only tolerate, Mr. President, but welcome, because I yield the floor to Senator Honasan.
Well, Mr. President, the representative from the concerned area is here, and our local government leaders. I just want to put this on record and lay this at the feet of the committee, and I will submit to the better judgment of the collective wisdom of the chamber. Mr. President, to the best of my knowledge, the land use plan, long overdue, might gain some momentum in the early part of next year. This is just a practical submission that it will give the committee and the chamber, the legislature, less policy matters to unclog if we spend prudently some time to deliberate on this. Aside from the constitutionally mandated requirements, the issue basically here, Mr. President, Your Honor, is productivity. So this is actually a golden opportunity for us to not do this right, but to do this well for future long-term policy purposes. I submit to your better judgment, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Senator Honasan. We will certainly take that observation into account, and perhaps at a later session we could put that in the form of some kind of amendments. I will consult with the senator, and perhaps we can find a way to ease the burden should the land use plan then be finalized to simplify and streamline the delivery of services and the economic activity within all of these towns, within all of these cities.
Thank you, Your Honor. And for practical purposes, also to ease the political pain of this measure. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Senator.
Thank you, Senator Honasan.
We have yet, Senator Osmeña had reserved to interpolate, but he has amended that now to simply propose individual amendments. So I do not.
So the period for committee amendments could be in order.
The period of committee amendments, we are ready with the committee amendments, Mr. President.
So I move, Mr. President, that we open the period of committee amendments
Any objection? Yeah.
for the subject matter.
Any objection? Hearing none. Period for committee amendments on House Bill number 3719 is in order. Senator Marcos, as chair of the committee, may propose committee amendments on the bill.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have 7 committee amendments. The first one is on page 1, delete the entire section 1, and in lieu thereof, insert the following. Section 1, Lone Legislative District. The city of Biñan is hereby separated from the first legislative district of the province of Laguna to constitute the lone legislative district of the city of Biñan, which shall commence in the next national election after the effectivity of this act. So moved, Mr. President.
Any objection? Hearing none, the committee amendment is approved.
The second amendment, Mr. President, is on page 2, delete the entire section 2. So moved, Mr. President.
Any objection? There being none, on page 2, section 2 from lines 4 to 11 is deleted. The subsequent sections are renumbered accordingly.
Thank you, Mr. President. The next committee amendment, on the same page, line 14, delete the phrase, the expiration of his term of office, and in lieu thereof, insert the phrase, the new representative of the lone legislative district of the city of Biñan shall have been elected and qualified. So moved, Mr. President.
Any objection? Hearing none, approved.
On the same page, delete the entire section 4. So moved, Mr. President.
Any objection? Hearing none, approved.
And the next amendment is to renumber the succeeding sections accordingly. So moved, Mr.
Approved.
President. On page 3, line 5, delete the phrase any newspaper, and in lieu thereof, insert the phrase at least 2 newspapers. So moved, Mr. President.
Any objection? Hearing none, approved.
And the last committee amendment we propose is to delete the title of the bill, and in lieu thereof, insert the new title to read as follows. An act separating the city of Biñan from the first legislative district of the province of Laguna to constitute the lone legislative district of the city of Biñan. So moved, Mr. President.
Any objection? Hearing none, approved.
That is the extent of the committee amendments, Mr. President.
Majority Leader.
To give us time to go over the clean copy, Mr. President, I move that we suspend consideration of House Bill number 3917 under Committee Report number 72.
So the period for committee amendments is terminated. When we resume consideration of this measure, we shall proceed with the individual amendments that could be proposed by the members of the chamber. And for that purpose, the Secretary is directed to prepare a new version of the measure incorporating the committee amendments for purposes of the debates on the individual amendments. There is a motion that we now suspend consideration of the measure. Any objection? Hearing none, so suspended.
Thank you, Mr. President.